Hi everybody. This video will start a whole new series of readings on YouTube, and what I'm going to do is read my book The Dawning of the True Self, a companion to The Three Feathers. It has, I'm not sure even how many pages, 200 pages. It's roughly the same page amount than The Three Feathers. And I'm going to do roughly the same thing that I did with The Three Feathers. I'm going to read chapter by chapter. The middle part of the book has some short stories and poetry and some other writing in it that I'm going to do one or two per session, and then in the end there is an account of the writing of The Three Feathers, what happened, what went into it, how long it took, and all that stuff. I'm going to read that in the end. So basically, The Dawning of the True Self is a companion to The Three Feathers. And why I wrote this, I'm going to read it to you out loud. But I wanted to mention something that is going to be a major character in The Dawning of the True Self, if you can call it a character, which is this book. It's called A Course in Miracles. That is my inspiration for not only The Dawning of the True Self, but also The Three Feathers, and also basically for my life. I have been involved with it since 1991. For a good chunk of my life now. I think I have now spent more time knowing and working with the Course in Miracles in my life than I have without it. So this was a major influence, and you will have some references in the Dawning of the True Self of the Course in Miracles. That's why I wanted to kind of mention it before. All right, let's start. We will start with the foreword for Maxie. Maxie's my son. Foreword. Thank you for picking up The Dawning of the True Self. The idea for this book came during the writing of The Three Feathers, a fable about Joshua Along, a rooster who leaves his home to follow a powerful dream. While writing it, I realized that Joshua's journey was not only very much like my own quest, but was also possibly a metaphor for the journey many of us are on. That journey is the journey from our small self, the self we know and experience right now, to the magnificent self we all search and yearn for, albeit maybe unconsciously. I have found over the years that there is not a single soul on earth who isn't searching. We all yearn for something we can't grasp, something more than what is in front of us each day. We sense deep inside that none of what we ever thought would make us happy really did. Part of us still hopes that it will, but there's another part that knows with absolute certainty that only if and when we find who and what we are in truth, if and when we find our true self again, will we experience true happiness. With The Three Feathers as a blueprint, Part 1, The Three Feathers, A Spiritual Journey, describes one possible path from beginning to end. From the dream that there must be more to life than what we see in front of us each day, to the perilous search, the dangerous path into the unknown, and on to the magnificent conclusion, the moment when we find our true self once more. Joshua's journey in The Three Feathers can be interpreted in many ways, and my interpretation might not by any means be your own. It is an interpretation based on my own spiritual journey, the symbols that helped me, and the thought systems I have studied and learned over the last 20 years. Part 2, Between Two Worlds, describes part of my own path as it relates to this book. It includes poems, short stories, and essays that were inspired, for the most part, by guided imaginary journeys I undertook as part of my own healing process. Part 3 provides an in-depth discussion of how The Three Feathers came about, what inspired the book, and how it all happened. You might find this part helpful if you are interested in writing in general, or have read the book and want to know more about the process. It is not necessary that you have read The Three Feathers to benefit from this book. There are, however, a good amount of references in here, as the dawning of the true self attempts to compare Joshua's journey in the three feathers to our own. It is my sincere hope that you will find the following explanations helpful for your own search, and that this reaches you in a way that will propel you forward toward the direction of your own self-discovery. I am extending my gratitude to you in sharing this part of your journey with me. To frame it in words of Ludwig van Beethoven's first page of the Missa Solemnis, from the heart, may it go to the heart. Book 1. The Three Feathers, A Spiritual Journey. Chapter 1. Dreams. There must be more to life than this. Have you ever asked yourself this question? Can this be everything there is to see, to hear, to feel, to experience? Can this really be all there is? And can how I see myself right now be all there is to me? I'm just going to assume that you, like myself, have asked yourself this question at some point in your life. Maybe you didn't use the same words or thoughts or even the same language. Maybe you caught yourself thinking that something was missing here. I remember almost to the day when this question suddenly arose in me. I was 22 at the time. The question changed my life completely. Maybe you thought that there should be a better way to live in this world. Maybe you thought that there should be a better way of relating to others, maybe even to yourself. Or maybe you just simply thought that there must be more than this. This single thought is what starts us all on our journey. If we don't question what is, we can't get to what could be, right? If we don't question the validity of something, why would we want to change it? Only if and when we realize that this here can't be everything there is, can we take the first step. We might be in utter pain. We might be in slight discomfort. We might be sick or dying or left by the love of our life. Whatever our situation is during which this question arises, we have taken the first step. The first step into a brave new world. Let's talk about Joshua, our rooster friend in the Three Feathers, for a bit. Joshua feels that his life in the coop and whatever he does day in, day out, cannot possibly be everything there is. He has no clue what it is he yearns for. He just has this longing inside him, a longing that feels like the cold wind from the east. It won't let up. It bugs him. It pushes him around. It causes him to wake up during the night. You might find yourself wide awake in the middle of the night sometimes. The reason for it could be this very question. Can this be all there is to me and to my life? Joshua doesn't know anything beyond his world. He only knows, and that only very subtly, that there must be more than what he experiences. What he knows is very limited, even though it seems to him as if he knows everything there is to know. Joshua at that moment doesn't know what he doesn't know. He is discontent with his life, but he doesn't know why. He can't find a reason why he feels the way he feels. In our own lives, discontentment usually arises when the yearning in us increases. The yearning for more than what this little self of ours, with its limited awareness of the world and everything around it, can offer us. We came to a point in our lives when we question where we are, what we are doing, and where we should go from here. We usually feel a little lost when this question arises. We know that something is wrong, but we don't know exactly what it is. In the Three Feathers, this is the moment when Joshua's dreams begin. In them, and over several weeks, Joshua sees himself walking inside a vast cave towards something in the distance that he can't quite make out at first. When he finally reaches the end of the cave and sees the Three Feathers, he has, for the first time in his life, the experience of being completely loved. He wakes up, and for a few moments longer, the feeling of this all-encompassing love lingers in his mind. It includes the chickens in his coop, even the coop itself, and the night beyond. Page 5. Without knowing it, Joshua gets a glimpse of the journey's end. He feels overwhelmed by it, and it fades only seconds after he first experiences it. But this moment is enough to push him out of his pen, to propel him to go and find the three feathers, which are nothing other than a symbol for all-encompassing love. When you think back to the beginning of your journey, there might have been a moment when you felt something that was beyond anything you have ever felt before. A feeling of being lifted up, perhaps, or an experience of complete and utter love for everything and everyone. It might have been brief and you might not even remember it. But in all likelihood, we begin our journey when two things happen in roughly the same time. A deeper than usual experience of love or being loved, and the sense that how we see ourselves can't possibly be all there is. The love we experience at the outset of our journey is not bound to anyone or anything in particular. It is universal. It includes everything and everyone, and in the end, it is the love coming from one's true self, one's true identity. At the journey's end, everything falls away except this. There is no more room for fear, shame, guilt, anger, and all the rest. Love is the only thing that is left. In this love, we recognize who we truly are. It is the ultimate end we seek. Joshua in the story has no idea that this is what he longs for so fervently. All he knows is that he can no longer live without at least trying to find it. And so one morning he musters all his courage, pushes away the little voice that tells him that he could not possibly be serious in trying to find his own magnificence, and jumps over the fence. And so do we.